So it's Sunday, which means it's time for a Stashcast. It is the 26th of July. I wanted to say November. It's not November yet. I don't know why I'm trying to travel forward in time. Because I don't know. But speaking of time travel, I'm coming to you from the 19th, aka last week. I'm trying to work smarter, not harder, and pre-record as many videos as possible. And that usually is the Stashcast and the art hauls. And some of the potluck posts can be done ahead of time, but they're like the monthly posts, I guess, because they're not really like time sensitive as far as content. As long as what I say is relevant, it's fine. Anyway. Most of it is, I've got a lot going on, I'm really tired, and I need to use my time wisely. So, that being said, if you don't know who I am, I'm Aradia Noir, your resident witch and creatrix over to Radia's Hand and Danae's Divine, where I create myth, magic, and meaning for your everyday life through art, intuition, and energy work. And on Sundays, I like to talk about my stash. My stash! What's stash? Well, if you don't know what stash is, you're in for a treat. I can tell you! Okay, really. Stash is generally referring to artistic materials. Beads, buttons, fabric, yarn, thread, whatever, what have you. Paint. For me, however, it also includes tools. Why? Because I have a tendency to collect tools. I don't collect much of anything unless it comes to work. Materials and tools, absolutely do collect. In fact, you're going to see some additional stash casts in the future of some more tools because I have a penchant for handmade tools, and I have a number of them as a result. I've got a favorite woodworker or two, so there's that. And just, I want all the sizes and the colors and all the materials that I can get my little hands on. So there's that. But without further ado, today we're talking about straights. What? The straights are the straights okay? No, not those straights. Straight needles, that is. Bam! Like this thing. This is huge, actually. Nobody uses this. I don't know why I have these. Size queens, why I have these. I needed them. I needed all the sizes. These are birch. They're really nice. Really nice. I like them. I can tell you, I think, how many times I've used them, though. Like, once. Oh, I do have one other, like, handmade set of needles. This nice young man tried to do me a favor and made me a set of very large needles, neglecting to consider that when a needle is this big, it starts to get heavy. And those needles, those are even bigger. So yeah. And then some four-legged, fur coat wearing asshole, who belongs to the canine family, decided to gnaw on the end of them. So they have not been usable since, because I need to get them sanded down, and I need a woodworker who's willing to do that for me. That's okay. Anyway. Straight needles. So here's the thing. Over the next couple of weeks, you're going to hear me talk about all the needles. Next week is circulars. The week after that is double pointed. And then the week after that, we're going to touch very briefly on all the needles, because I have all the needles. But I wanted to start with straights. Straights because that's where people start. When they start knitting, they generally start with straight needles. Why? Because they're prevalent and they're easy to get a hold of. They're not complicated, and usually they have stoppers or like end points so that your stitches don't just fly off all the time. And usually they're just a lot easier for people to read. These are solid, but they're birch, so they're not like hugely heavy. Most of the time, though, you're starting off with something more akin to this. This is anodized aluminum. This is a size 8. Yes. And this is boy. They're also very lightweight. They're not like unwieldy. You can also see, this is another 8. This is bamboo. Bamboo is also very lightweight. And usually those two types of needles are also fairly inexpensive. So when you start off knitting, you're usually making scarves or dishcloths. Oversized rectangles. That's what you're doing. And squares. You certainly certainly could make a shawl, like if it's like a stole. So the stole is more of a rectangular shape. You wouldn't make a pie shawl or even a half pie or a triangular shawl really on straights. That's just not, you really should use a pair of circulars for that. And we'll talk about that more next week, so don't worry. I'm going to tell you all about it. I, like most people, did in fact start with straight needles. It is best if they were actually straight. I do have, let's see, I have, was it this one? Not straight, not actually straight. Actually I haven't used them, but you know, best if they're straight, because there's just, then you don't have to worry about the uniformity of your stitches when you use uniform tools. So that's like a whole thing. But they're the easiest to come by, they're the easiest to use, and as long as you're making things that aren't like huge, heavy, and like really wide, it's a good start. Theoretically, you can make anything you want with a set of straights. You can make something that's going to be round, you just have to seam it at the end. You could make something that's large if you made it in panels. I hate seaming. I do love sewing, but like seaming my knits and crochet and like weaves, no, I don't want to. Can't make me, even though usually I have to give in. So yeah, they're knitting, you know, standard knitting. When I started, I used them for scarves. As time has gone, though, I really don't use them anymore. Like, I almost never use them. I just prefer circular at this point, because the circulars are lighter weight, because of the cable that like takes a whole bunch of weight while still getting, you know, the business end to work with. Also, you can have sets of straights, but most of the, like, I don't actually own a set of straights. I think Licca has one. I want to say Knit Picks also has a set of straights. I own neither. Mostly because I prefer circulars at this point. They're just more practical for what, and like your preference of needle, like the size. Okay, so this is let's see what we got here. This is a 14-inch. That's the length of them as well as the actual size. These are 17, so they are 12.5 millimeters. Whether they're aluminum or plastic, these are hollow, or this is my other set of Brittany's, wood. You know, that becomes a preference. These are 14 inches. I feel like these are close to 14 inches, but they're not actually. Whoa. They're not. Yeah, also, knitting needles tend to come in certain sizes. So, 10, 12, 14-inch needles or straights, that's usually what you're finding. So that's like, those are other factors. And I would say, as far as me, it's always been scarves. That's usually what I use them for. A lot of times I will even prefer my double pointeds, especially if I'm gonna like toy around with some yarn and I just want to screw around with it and see what it looks like, see what it does, and not necessarily swatching, but you know, fiddling about. Double pointeds are even lighter because they're shorter, usually 6 and 8 inches. Although I've seen, I think 4 or 5. I may have seen some 3s. I say that in the video for the double pointeds, but I might be lying, to be honest with you. I have seen some 10-inch double pointeds, which doesn't really make sense. You should just get a straight needle. That sucks because it's silly. But the good thing about these is the stopper. That's the good thing about these. When you're starting out and you're nervous and you're not sure that you know, your tension's a little off and whatever, having this little end piece really makes it easier. So like, while everything is preference, and it really depends on you, your tension, your gauge, your hands, how you feel, and this also, you know, Some people don't want to use plastic or acrylic because that's also some of the needles. And that's a ecological, environmental, ethical dilemma. You know, for the same reason some people don't want to use wood, because to get this wood you have to cut down the tree. And is the tree being replaced? Probably not. Maybe. I don't know. I haven't actually looked into it, so I can't say. But you've got things like rosewood, which are, you know, rare and whatnot. And so, like, that's also a dilemma. Like, you know, do you want something really nice and like an heirloom tool and possibly destroy, you know, a species? Which, look, no shame. Hey, I have an heirloom rosewood hook that I have because it was my crochet hook, that is. I have because it was my grandmother's. I've never used it. Actually, I hate using it because it's tapered. And the mouth of the hook is like a real pain in the ass. Like, I don't want to do what I'm supposed to. What? Just throw stuff. It's fine. It's fine. Whoa. Okay. Yeah. Huh. I think that's it. So, stray needles. There you go. It's your first stop in your land of knitting. Next stop, circulars. Highly, highly suggested. And I gotta say, of the 3 types, I think, with the exception of making I-cords, and technically you could do an I-cord on a circular. It would just be kind of obnoxious. Yeah, I feel like you can. I haven't tried it yet. I feel like that's right though. Circulars are my go-tos, but you know, start off with straights, move to circulars. Try double pointeds if you dare. They're not really that scary. I do talk a little bit more about one of the reasons people don't like them, or actually a couple. But pros and cons with everything, right? With everything. So it's all gravy. It's all good. Let's see. Yeah, that's it. If you want to see pictures of all of my needles, you can scroll to the post below. Because they're not sets, I'm not going to link to anything. I can link to, that's a lie. I will link to the sets of straights that I know of that I can find. So let's do sets of straights. There we go. I'm pretty sure Lecca and Knit Picks are the 2 sets that I know of. There might be some rando brand, like a wooden yarn, like maybe some bamboos, I think, come in straights. So maybe some Takumis. I like those. Bamboo's nice. If you need a lightweight and, you know, relatively inexpensive, bamboo can make that. I mean, some of them, was it Clover Takumi, are not inexpensive depending on, I guess, how you feel about that, like, really. So there's that. I don't know. Matter of opinion, I guess. Yeah. My brain's like starting. This is like the 6th video I've recorded today, and so I'm starting to lose my ability to be coherent. Also, I'm kind of hungry. I mean, not really. But I haven't had any water today. I wanted to jump right into work. So there's that. Anyway. So, like I said, pictures below, links below. As always, my websites, Aradia's Hand and Danae's Divine, are also linked below, as well as, and along with my active social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, where I like to hang out the most. And because you stayed to the end of the video, which is, you know, getting to be a little far too long for the fact that I don't feel like I offered a whole lot today. Tomorrow is the, what is it? 27th, Monday. So it's time for a little Monday, whoop, there we go, motivation. If we're motivated tomorrow, I don't know. I think I'm like entering the land of like delirium with these videos right now. So I'm not going to say that I'm going to have any energy tomorrow. I might not, but that's the goal. Hopefully, fingers crossed. That being said, thank you for watching. this video, if you're watching it on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe, and consider going over to Patreon and joining my patrons who are watching. Hey patrons! Thank you so much. It means the world to me that you support what I do and care and give a shit, and you also get cool stuff. So everybody wins. And patrons make these videos free. They make these videos possible, as well as getting some special things that only they get. So it's a pretty snazzy place to be. That being said, yeah, it's time for me to scoot. So long, farewell, Auf Wiedersehen, and goodbye, sweetlings. I will see you, hopefully, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed tomorrow. Toodles!